Hey Greg, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this play. Um, so this is the crouch idle. It seems super short. It's about a second long. Um, and it feels a little poppy. Like it's like he's just kind of sort of twitching a little bit. So this one's not. This one still feels like it needs quite a bit of work to it. It feels like it needs. I would make this at least 4 seconds long or 5 seconds long, and that way you can have the hips kind of drifting a little bit, floating around, or sort of shifting around a little bit, and then um, I guess in this pose the character is supposed to have his hands kind of on his knees. They don't really feel like they're making contact very well, and in all honesty, it feels like mainly all it has is a little rotation on this blue controller. So I don't really feel anything else on any of the other controllers. If this is just to show the pose, I think it needs the pose is actually pretty good other than the contact on the knees. I think you could also roll up on the ball of the foot on this rear leg a little bit, but I think it just needs a whole lot more motion. Um, Let me find the folder. There it is. Um, so here's your idle animation. Go ahead and let it. So this is feeling a little better. It's a little longer too. Um, I think I think it feels a little bit like, well, one, your character's eye kind of has a pop in it where it's not looping perfectly. I feel like it's still mainly this main character controller moving them around, and you still need a little bit more in these other controllers to kind of get just sort of that system of movement. And I think it's got maybe a little too much up and down movement, as it kind of feels like he's just kind of stretching his legs out here and then squatting back down. So maybe pull out of that some a little bit, and maybe make the rotate movements a little less sporadic. So maybe a little more like this and a little less, like this. I know that's exaggerating, but just kind of getting a little bit more um, smoother arcs and like maybe fewer rotation arcs because the rotation's kind of making him feel a little drunk or staggered. Um, so let's look at the run animation. So I'm getting a little bit of a pop right there at the end, and my impression of that is usually that means it's not looping perfectly. Um, and I think the character needs a little bit more up and down on the motion. Like it's kind of moving up and down a little bit, but it's almost like I feel like when the character hits the ground here, we need to be able to feel it like sink into the foot just a little bit more, like he's kind of absorbing that weight. And I can see here that as the character's pushing off, it's like the foot's rotating backwards, but his toe looks like it's kind of blowing through the ground. And so I look at it, it actually doesn't look like you have a lot of movement on the toe at all. And the hands feel like they're kind of sort of locked in that pose too. So I think it needs a little bit more work on getting those hand poses to be a little bit more dynamic or a little bit more loose. Like it just feels like they're locked in one pose and not moving. And it's not a particularly the best pose either. So the walk feels pretty good. Again, the hand poses feel kind of locked. I think we could get a little bit more swing on those arms and a little bit more in just one direction because it kind of feels like they're just kind of rotating like on one axis forward and one axis back. Um, so I mean, kind of having them cross in front of the character. You see a little bit of like at the at that's the when the character's left leg steps, you feel a little bit of a jut forward on the hips, like it sort of pops forward. So look in your curves, and if you looked at the forward and back curves, on the first step forward, maybe it goes forward a little bit, and then on the second one, it's doing something like that. And so just kind of pulling that one back down to being a little bit more like this one is all that's really missing there. I feel like the character needs more side-to-side weight. So it's like you're shifting forward, or maybe that is a side shift there. And I just can't see it from this angle. But it feels like the character needs to drift over each leg. And so it's not a pop over each leg, but it needs to feel like they're like sort of rocking back and forth throughout the whole walk cycle over the leg that is holding them up. And so that's feeling a little stiff. If you want to, pop these up in class and give me a yell, and I'll come back and kind of walk you through sort of making some of that work a little bit more functionally. So otherwise, just keep working on it, keep polishing them up. They still need a pretty decent amount of work to get them up to speed. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.